100 Meters is one of the few anime films that truly grounds itself on the ideal of what it means to be an athlete and how it affects you on both a physical and mental level, while also showing us the reality behind success, loss, anxiety, and everything else in between when it comes to being an athlete. The film follows two characters, those being these characters right here, Kyoma in blue and Togashi in red. Now, Togashi and Komiya are two sides of the exact same coin. Togashi being naturally born fast and known for winning, while Komiya was not born fast but put in the hard work and effort to become faster. And like I said before, this really roots itself into the reality of what it's like to play sports, whether it be track or anything else in real life. Both of the characters being the epitome of hard work and talent. Now, the story itself follows that of Togashi. As the years go on, he just keeps winning against different people, going to nationals and college, high school, so on and so forth. But in the process of all of that, knowing that he keeps winning, there is something that holds him back. And that more or less is the motivation as to why they run. Each person has their own specific reason for doing so, and specific reasons as to why it holds them back, so they can't reach their full potential. Same exact thing could be said about Komiya, only he figured out how to overcome his anxiety when running. And years on down the line, they meet up once again for another race, where Komiya ends up beating Togashi, something that hadn't happened before. And in the process of that, while it's not specifically said by Togashi, based off of the animation that is seen and what happens in the scene, we can tell that it really affects him. I mentioned this in another video, but the way that the people are blurred out towards the beginning of the race and after the race shows that the runners themselves are not focused on the things around them, but the track itself. And the rain symbolizes the noise that goes through your head before and after and even during the race. And once Togashi loses to Komiya, the rain starts getting louder, meaning the voices in his head and how he thinks about himself when it comes to running get even louder. And this entire scene is a perfect representation of what goes through the minds of athletes when they get beat. Or hell, even when they win. There are still voices that go on in their head saying, what is the next move? How can I get better? Completely disregarding what had just happened. And that entire aspect and the counter aspect to that is preached in this film. All that matters is the glory. And it takes Togashi realizing that losing doesn't mean it's all over, but you should still want to win. And while the mental side of things can really get to you, so can the physical side of things when it comes to sports. Togashi being told that he shouldn't compete because of a strained leg. Nigami Takeru, who used to be a notable runner but now has back problems, yet still decided to run. And hell, even old age, that being for Kaido right here, who happens to be really fast even though he is older. Again, all real things that happen within the world of sports, regardless of what you play. And in this final scene for 100 meters between Togashi, Komiya, Kaido, and a few other individuals who are elite sprinters, this just goes to show you the joy and appreciation that goes into not only a film like this, but people who run track or even play sports. Going back to both of their childhoods as they're running this final 100 meters and realizing all the trials and tribulations that they went to get to this point, both of which smiling as they run side by side. And then ending the entire thing on a cliffhanger, not telling us who won, leaving it up to our interpretation to decide who actually won. And I think the way that ended couldn't have been done any better. And throughout this entire video, I have not once mentioned anything related to animation, but now that we're here, oh my lord. I don't know what kind of rotoscoping they did, what kind of animation they tried to implement. Maybe they used an actual human model and kind of just drew over it, because that's what it feels like happened here. It looks unbelievable. It doesn't even look real. I'm not going to say it looks like AI because it's not, but there's just something about it that looks lifelike. And I'm led to believe that's the case. And this is consistent throughout the entire film. Maybe not the first part when they're kids, but afterwards when they're adults, yeah. Throughout that and the rest of the film, unbelievable. Now, this would not be a fair review if I did not give my critiques. While there are very few, I will say it felt like they were foreshadowing a few things, like with Togashi getting hurt and then crying, like actually crying the way that you would think an athlete would cry, knowing they can't run or do what they want to anymore. And then just throwing it out of the water saying it doesn't matter. Yeah, he's still going to run anyway. Or Komiya being told, if you keep running like this, it'll be the death of you. And that just doesn't happen. Or Nigami having back problems and that not being an issue at all. Or hell, even being older than everyone else and that not being a problem. It's almost like we're led to believe, oh shit, that's actually going to happen and it's going to cause them to not be able to run, and then it just never happens. And it's like, well, what was the point? I get it's real shit when it comes to running and athlete related stuff that this happens. I get it. But 9 times out of 10, when you're told not to, you shouldn't. yet it still happens. And I get it. Athletes still do that consistently. All right, cool. But to this extent, I don't know. But that right there is literally all I have to critique on this. Aside from that, holy shit. I I fucking love this film.